And I get it, but why? This is weird. Why does it not show up? That is fucking weird. Meeting is being live streamed.
Should be in the browser.
I know, but it's not. I'm looking up my browser. I've got it, but why?
Okay, let me turn off our YouTube.
Weird.
Here.
Why does it not show up?
Hey, we're live. Okay, so you looked after that document, and I'll send a tweet about this episode of Hebsy on Sports.
All right, do it. Let me get my documents here. Google documents. It's weird. It goes away. Huh. Hello. Hello. And there it is. And there we are. All right. I got it. Wonderful. So I'm framed okay. I don't have to worry about that. Cool. And we have to tweet something out now? We do, don't we?
I am composing. It's like I'm like Shakespeare over here. I'm composing a tweet.
No, you'd be more like would be like Beethoven, right? Okay. Like, do you think Shakespeare would sit down and say, "Oh, I think I'll compose"? No, because I mean he's writing something, but I mean composing, I guess, would be there'd be more to it than compose. You're not just writing something, you're composing something.
Okay, I'm one of those two prodigious geniuses, but you need to retweet.
Okay, I'm going to retweet right now. Hello, everybody. Hey, we got no technical issues today. I can pretty much guarantee it. Well, I can't guarantee it, but I know someone who can. All right, beautiful quote tweet. It's going to be.
Hello to Andrew and Gary. So yeah, we're live on your YouTube channel. It's all
beautiful.
Good. Okay, good.
All right, it's being retweeted. Fantastic. Wow, there's a lot going on, man. You know what? There's a lot going on that's not being reported too because of, obviously the death of the Queen. It's like all resources when it comes to news and reporters. Like it's all just drop what you're doing. It's all about the Queen, right? Understandable. But of course, as you know, there's other things that are going on in the world that under normal circumstances, people would be talking about maybe. And it's just sort of like, it doesn't matter to a lot of other people. So there's something dropped into my lap the other day that's developing, that's fascinating, that is not in any mainstream media, nor is anybody in the industry, our industry, heard about.
Wow.
Except for the people who are involved and they're under a gag order. So I'm going to tell you about that a little later. Because I got some reporter people working on, like, I'm not mainstream media. I'm not a reporter, right? I don't have any vested interest here. I do have an interest because these are people, some of them that I know, and they're not talking. Anyway, that's later.
Fascinating. That's a super tease. I can't wait, honestly.
It's a super tease, and it's developing, and it's absolutely developing at its own snail's pace because of, it's like, sorry, the Queen just died. We don't have time for this. Sorry, we got,
I'm surprised you're not
in the broadcast industry. It's like, look, don't be, focusing on this. This is a little internal thing. The Queen just died. Got it? Let's go. Right?
I honestly thought you'd be joining us from London, England today. I thought you'd be on location.
Not me. Lisa LaFlamme, got hired by Rogers.
I heard that.
Great move by Rogers. Wait, do we know anybody that knows anything? Wait a second. LaFlamme, get her number.
Yeah.
Right? Beautiful.
Get her in London. Absolutely.
Beautiful. She'll be hosting BlueJay games before you know it with Jamie Campbell and Joe Siddle. Okay? Telling you right now.
Oh, I thought she was going to get Ron McLean's job on Hockey Night in Canada.
She's good. She knows her shit. She knows her shit. LaFlamme
Watch your back, Ronnie.
I told you the story about her, right? That she, a real good, my brother's best friend. And her we're together for 10 years, lived together, and we're together. She's traveling all over the place, whatever. That one Halloween party during the Sarah Palin era, she showed up dressed as Sarah Palin and in Sarah Palin character with the accent, which was perfect, like funny.
Wow.
Okay, and a couple of I don't want to say too much about her because she has a tremendous reputation, but she can party.
No, I've seen her rock in that Newsroom. I've seen her rock and roll.
She can party. And let me tell you, it was so funny. I mean, I'm talking drop dead, hysterically funny, being at a Halloween party with Sarah Palin.
Amazing.
Being
Right.
played by the number one, the anchor. You know, that's her. Yeah, that's her. I would love to have been like that. I think I was to an extent, although I obviously wouldn't have been taken as seriously as Elisa LaFlamme. But I'd been to places before. It's like, hey, there's Hebsy over there. Geez, he's a regular guy. He's a regular guy.
The earring tipped us off that you were cool, right? You weren't just one of those stuffy, suits. You were a cool guy. We all knew that. That was the signal we got from the earring. Oh, this guy's not like this is not daddy here.
Not the folks at Hockey Night in Canada. See, before that, I had pissed enough people off, Mike. I'll tell you about it later on. I heard some of your episode with Scott Metcalf. Terrific stuff. But I mean, he could fill you in from the very beginning of that station. Right. But I could fill you in from even before that. Right. When I joined, when McCowan was there, when it was all Foster Hewitt. Like Scott didn't work for Foster Hewitt. Right. But anyway, I worked there when it was the sports station. It wasn't called the sports station, all sports. It wasn't all sports, but it was a lot sports. Like, Well,
you had Leaf games and Jays games.
Yeah, man. So anyway, and I worked there on 2 different occasions, and it should have been 3, but they just basically, everyone was like, don't hire this guy back. Don't bring it back. Don't bring it back. And
he's a free thinker.
And there were a few people that were like, for sure, no, do not bring this guy back. And they should have, but they didn't. And things worked out well with Sportsline and other things. Anyway.
Yes, guy.
But interesting because I think sports radio is obviously taking on a different look now, right? And you need to go back to when it began, sort of the evolution of, to get an idea of what sports fans in the city of Toronto or the GTA and beyond, what they want, what their appetite is, what they love to talk about. And a lot of it's being replaced by, Twitter. Go back and forth this way. But I like hearing the voices. When I did this show, we would do call-in shows. Like, we would let people call in. Now it's like, I don't want to hear what Vito from Thornhill says. I kind of liked it. These are my peeps. If I was at the bar, Vito from Thornhill would be sitting next to me and we'd be talking.
I think he's from Woodbridge, I think.
Vito from Woodbridge. Anyway, if you want to start the show.
Yeah, okay. I'll fire it up. And I love that you sound great this week. No more phoning it in. This is a time to get serious. Okay, Hebsy man.
Okay, count me down audio-wise with the silent. You know how we do it, right?
I've done it a few times. Yeah, okay. We are recording in 5, 4, 3.
The following podcast is brought to you by Crosswinds Golf and Country Club in Burlington. Just 45 minutes from downtown Toronto, you'll find the most beautiful and affordable public golf course in all of Ontario. And believe me, I've played most of them. Outstanding customer service, $1 million views, $1 billion views, fabulous food, fabulous beverages, great driving range, and of course, a championship golf course that's always in pristine condition. And it's a public course. You'd think you were at a private golf course. They treat you like royalty. If you book your tee time online rather than by phone, you save $10 per golfer. So that's like $40 a foursome. Enough to have lunch at the Back Nine Bistro, grab a brewski. What are you waiting for? Go to crosswindsgolf.com. Book your tee time online. Save some dough. And when you get there, make sure you tell them Hebsy sent you. And you know what? I'm going to see you there this weekend. Yeah. I'll be golfing. Mike, let's start the podcast. They're coming to town. They're coming to Southern Ontario. They're coming to Canada in October. Like they're doing a whole Canadian tour. Los Lobos.
Let's go together.
You want to go?
I feel like you'd have backstage passes with your.
I'll tell you what. If you provide the transportation, we'll go to the Hamilton show.
The Hammer.
You want to go to the Hamilton show because you're out in the West End, right?
I am. Yes. Right,
okay. We're going to talk about this off air, maybe on air. Hey, sports fans, welcome to Hebsy on Sports. It's episode number 300. Relax. It's a number. Okay, it's a number.
It's a milestone.
It's not a milestone. Not when your producer and co-host has over 1,000 podcasts under his belt. It's, we're going for the bronze medal maybe here. I'm Mark Hebscher, joining me as usual, the amazing Toronto Mike, the aforementioned one. Today on the show, we're going to talk about the Super Bowl favorites, the Buffalo Bills, and their destruction of the defending Super Bowl champions last night. It was unbelievable. It was great. I was jumping up and down, almost hit my head on the ceiling here. This is someone who's been a Bills fan since 1964.
Wow.
Okay, come on, man. Elbert DeBinion, Jack Kemp, Daryl LaMonica, the Mad Bomber, Cookie Gilchrist. We'll get into the Blue Jays, who enjoyed their off day. I hope they did anyway, because now the real running begins. And down the stretch they come. Woo. Do they have the horses? Speaking of which, do you change the name of the Queen's Plate to the King's Plate now? Just something to think about. Just the U.S. Open has been fabulous. The Jays, they're playing in Texas this week. John Gibbons is going to be at the games. Gibby's going to be at the games. I wonder who he's rooting for. You think maybe, hey, is there a job for me on this team? I'd love to see him on the broadcast too. He's great on Twitter.
Gonna have to get vaxxed.
Yeah, that's right. I hadn't even thought of that. The U.S. Open has been fabulous this year. The only problem is that second night match they have. I had to stay up till nearly 3 a.m. to see one of the greatest matches ever the other night. Me and 7 other people probably saw it. And I fell asleep during the third set, woke up in the fourth, and fell asleep in the fourth, and woke up in the fifth set. It was unbelievable. But I had to stay up till nearly 3 a.m. We got to stop this. The tennis is great. Nobody's watching it. Also, why I never worked at the Fan 590, even though I was there when it was 1430 CKFH, 1430 CJCL. It was the sports station. I was more than qualified to talk sports. There were some forces going against me. Do I regret it? No. Do they regret it? Maybe they do. Before we officially say hello to Toronto, Mike, breaking news. Sporting events across Britain, including the entire professional soccer schedule, have been canceled due to the passing of Queen Elizabeth yesterday. We and our clubs, I'm quoting here, we and our clubs would like to pay tribute to Her Majesty's long and unwavering service to our country, said Richard Masters, the chief executive of the Premier League. It means I won't be watching Spurs and Man City tomorrow. I'll be in mourning. They'll be in mourning. Sporting events scheduled for today, including horse racing, golf, cycling, and cricket, huge events, were postponed. Schedules will also have to be rearranged for matches around the time of the Queen's funeral, which is expected to be next weekend or Monday, September 19th. So it's going to be a huge issue for soccer. The schedule is already compressed here. Mike, you got the World Cup coming up in November, December. So that's a 6-week break from domestic competitions, international competitions. Everything stops in soccer. So where are you going to play these games? This is it's an issue. And it raises the question, is that too much? Or under what circumstances? How do you pay respect to someone when the nation is in mourning? What do you stop doing? Do classes, no school? Businesses, some open, some don't open, sporting events. Anyway, something we'll discuss definitely. Under what circumstances do you cancel? When JFK was assassinated in 1963, the NFL played a full schedule 2 days later.
But they regretted that decision. They regretted that, right?
Oh, yeah. Oh, they did. Okay.
So to me,
but wait a second. When Martin Luther King was assassinated, that's 1968, April, just before the opening day for Major League Baseball. Every major sport, hockey, basketball, golf tournament. It was on a Friday. The golf tournament, Greater Greensboro canceled the final 36 holes. Nope, we're not playing with Martin Luther King. And Major League Baseball was going to go on with opening day, which was the Monday. And they waffled for 2 days while all these other sports canceled their events. And then the black players, which were led by Roberto Clemente, because the Pittsburgh Pirates in 1968 were the most integrated team by far in Major League Baseball. Like, I'm serious, Mike, like over half their roster were black or were non-whites.
People of color.
So what they did was, led by Clemente, the great Roberto Clemente. A lot of people don't know this. He helped lead the postponement of opening day, where teams had to push their opening days back a couple of days, where schools were closed on the day of Martin Luther King's funeral. I mean, it was a big deal. And this was 1968. And they had to fight to be able to say, no, I don't want to play this sport or do this. I need to mourn. Anyway, I think they're doing the right thing in England. The nation's in mourning.
Yeah, the one thing now it's difficult from a North American perspective because of course the protocol around the royal family is off the hook over in England. But I will say that there's a very big difference to me between JFK and King getting assassinated, as young men,
Yes,
compared to a 96-year-old woman passing away.
I do agree, but I'm not from England.
Right. No,
it's not my call.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? If this happened in Canada, and someone from England, commentator said, well, that's not your business.
Yeah.
I'm not. And I also understand, I do and I don't understand because I don't live there and I'm not from that culture, how the royal family is like in everybody's DNA, whether they like it or not.
Right. Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
By the way, Rogers Communications has hired Lisa LaFlamme as special correspondent in London to cover the story for them. Good for them. That's good. Looking forward to seeing Lisa in her element again. That's good news. Yeah. So there you go. Breaking news.
Breaking news.
How are you, my friend?
No, good to see you. And I just want to say how happy I am to hear you so crystal clear in the headphones.
I need to apologize to all of you listening and anyone that listened to even like 5 minutes of episode 299, which I honestly was I was going to hit the delete button, Mike. I just, and of course, along the way, you couldn't say to me, because you didn't know if the phone was dropping out. But anyway, we're back. We're great. Thanks to my girlfriend, Serena, for fixing it. Okay.
Serena, the goat. The
greatest of all time. Absolutely. When it comes to tech issues, troubleshooting. I mean, like there's troubleshooting and then there's troubleshooting. And then there's someone who can troubleshoot a million levels down a rabbit hole. And I think it was level number, 642,000 that she got to before she found the problem. And then went, and it was over.
So no more phoning it in, Hebsy. We want your
you got it. All right.
Effort.
All right, giddy up. We got time here. We got time. Every football pundit I know, everybody has picked the Buffalo Bills to win the Super Bowl, including me.
Wow.
And this was before the Bills manhandled the defending Super Bowl champion Los Angeles Rams at SoFi Stadium in the NFL opener last night on TSN. And are they happy at TSN? They're thrilled. Thrilled. They sent 2 reporters to the opening game because it's the Thursday night. It's the first game. It's the Bills and the Rams, and what a great marquee matchup. And so Farhan Lalji and Dave Naylor. All right, you guys, go. Off you go. Paid for the expenses and everything. Wow. And then they bring in Luke Wilson, who already is like the best football analyst I've ever heard since John Madden. This guy's fabulous. He's on with Jay Honore last night. Tremendous. And he's on before the games. What a great analyst. And he's got the best hair, of any reporter, male or female. And he's like 6'6" or 6. No, wait a minute. Let me think about this. He was standing with Corey Warren. I think he was sitting when he was with Jay. But I mean, like Jay's like 6'6". Okay.
Right.
And Luke's like, I don't know, he might be 6'8". But anyway, he's terrific. It was a great broadcast. And the final score was 31-10 for the Bills. And it wasn't even indicative of the play. They should have scored 60 points every time they had the ball. Josh Allen, 26 for 31. You kidding me? They turned the ball over 3 times in the first half alone. The score is 10-10 at halftime. And you're sitting there going, oh, man, like what chances they had if they can only hang on to the football. And in the second half, they just blew him out. Allen threw 3 touchdown passes, 297 yards. Von Miller, newly acquired, rush end. 2 sacks out of the 7 sacks that the Bills had on Matthew Stafford. Matthew Stafford's the defending Super Bowl champion quarterback. You kidding me?
Wow.
Made him look like a Pop Warner League quarterback. Lots more games this weekend, too. TSN CTV this is gold for them. Gold, Jerry. Because the Bills are not just a contender. They got superstars. They got they're saying best quarterback of the NFL. I don't know. Let's find out. It's great.
No, but I'm just, nervous for my Buffalo friends because it sounds like we're setting everything up again for another heartbreak at the end of the season. I don't know. And the way they went out last year.
Yeah. Well, let's hope not, but you got to watch the games, right?
Right.
This is sort of like, I know what you mean. It's sort of like following the Leafs this year. Yeah, we don't. Let's get to the playoffs and see what happens, right? But come on.
Right.
It's exciting along the way. It's good. It's good. It's good for everybody. It's good for the sports fan. Good for the viewer. I'm happy for them. So things looking good at Bell Media. Good for them. Okay. Profits. Maybe no layoffs this year.
And you know how important that is to
Maybe
us.
no layoffs this year, please. Things looking pretty good at Rogers too, eh? Lisa LaFlamme, London. Okay. Next assignment, I don't know. Hockey Night in Canada.
Yeah, we were talking before recording. Watch out,
Blue
Ron
Jays
McLean.
baseball. I mean,
Yeah.
you're talking about, pretty solid journalists there. I mean, I got news for you. I would love to see Rogers scoop her and maybe give Rick Westhead a run for his money at TSN Bell Media. Do some investigative reporting. Huh? Hockey Canada stuff. I don't know. Just a thought. I'm just saying. And if the Blue Jays make the playoffs, which they should, more money. Although, wait a second, if they don't have any home games in the first round, I don't know how much more money they'll make. But anyway, if they do make the playoffs, even better. It would be nice to see some home playoff games as it is right now. Just make the playoffs, like just get in, and then, let's let our great starting pitching look after that. This weekend they play 3 in Texas against the lowly Rangers. Ross Stripling gets the ball for the Jays against Dane Dunning tonight. Jays half a game back of the Mariners, 1.5 back of Tampa. Next week they host Tampa for 4 games at the Dome. I'm at the Tuesday game. There's 2 of them. I'm at the 107 game. It's the first of 2 loony dog games. Are they out of their minds? Having 2 baseball games the same day, and $1 for, what do they call those things that they're giving away?
Wieners?
Wieners. All I know is this. After what happened last week, Mike, I hope the person sitting next to me is a vegetarian.
Wow.
All right. Everybody except for Lourdes Gurriel Jr. is healthy on the Jays. He's day-to-day. He's got a hammy. He did that stretch to try to be out the double play, and he turned his ankle or twisted something. And the other thing, too, is that there are some guys on the Jays. I mean, if I give you the name of a guy and I say, let's say this guy gets hit by a pitch or goes down in a heap, what's his reaction going to be like? And I said to you, for example, Matt Chapman, what would he do?
Yeah.
Matt, if he got hit by a pitch, what would he do? He gets hit by a pitch. What would he do?
He'd get back up.
He wouldn't even rub it.
Right.
He'd just go to first base. If Lourdes Gurriel Jr., for example, got hit by a pitch, how would he react? Would he react the same way, do you think?
No, I think there'd be a little more like soccer culture maybe in that.
A little more animated.
Right.
Right. Okay.
Like you watch soccer, somebody gets like a little elbow to the shoulder and they go down like they're shot. Yeah.
Right. Springer, though, like Springer, for example, he'll tumble and do 6.5 and bang into the wall, and then he'll bounce up again. Right. But I don't know. Yeah. But some guys make it. It's like, what, are you okay? And then the guy's just fine or whatever. But anyway, we got to have Springer. I've mentioned this before. I'll do it again. And John Schneider knows this too, right? You don't have a lot of left-handed hitting. Certainly you don't have any left-handed hitting power in that lineup at all. I mean, Kevin Biggio has got 6 home runs, maybe. Tapia doesn't have any power from the left side. You don't have anything there. So you've got to make sure that you've got your best right-handed hitters, the guys who can hit righties and lefties, and you've got to have Springer and you've got to have Kirk every day in the lineup, which means Springer's got to be playing center field. He's got to be out there, and he has been. I don't mind the defensive replacements at the end. You're good there. I'm okay with, with Zimmer coming on, or Jackie Bradley Jr. is beautiful, nice guy to have, and Tapia. I'm fine with that. But George Springer got to be in the lineup every day and pretty much playing center field. This guy, you've rested him during the season. He's got to play every game. Rotation looks solid. You got Manoah, you got Gausman, you got Berrios, you got Stripling. You got 4 choices. One of those guys not going well. You plug in Stripling, I'm fine with that. I'm good with that. I like watching Stripling pitch. And the bullpen's been excellent of late and could get a boost. And a little caveat here, because we've talked about this guy for a long time, and I'm probably the number one guy in saying, come on, he's injury prone. I mean, he could hurt himself getting out of a car. We're talking about Nate Pearson. Mm-hmm. And it's because he came with, what did he come with? He came with credentials. Did he not, Mike? When we first heard of this guy, when we drafted this guy.
Right.
He was going to be the next Roger Clemens, right? Roy Halladay, Dave Steve.
Nolan Ryan. In the meantime,
we can't not look at his progress. It's like any other pick. It's like, has he still got a chance? Is he get, what's happening with this guy, right? So he pitches an inning in Dunedin in his rehab. He doesn't strike anybody out, but he gets 3 outs, right? And throws like 10, 12 pitches. Then he goes to Buffalo. And yesterday, I think it was yesterday, he strikes out a guy. He throws 9 pitches, 6 of them for strikes, and he gets all 3 outs in Buffalo. And now it's like, okay, how much longer? And then, like, let's see what we got here. Like, how long are we waiting? Like, do we wait a while and see if he gets his feet wet in Buffalo and is commanding his pitches in Buffalo and then say, okay, now he's ready? Or you just say, no, let's just see, let's go. I mean, there's got to be a situation where you can use the guy to throw to 3 batters. You have to throw to a minimum of 3 batters, right? Unless you bring him in the middle of an inning. So what's the plan? Let us know, because it would be nice to have him for, if he's good, 7th inning guy, throws 100 miles an hour. 100 miles an hour.
Yeah, no doubt. But you've never been a believer in Nate Pearson. I mean,
because no one has, because we haven't seen, we don't know what he can do. We only know that he gets hurt and hasn't pitched at all. He's 26 years old. So I want to see, like, shit or get off the pot, right? Like, let's see. Or is he going to be, is he in your plans for Buffalo? We want to help. We want him to help Buffalo to win. I don't know. I got to believe he's on the major league roster, right? He's on the 40.
Sometimes these pitchers take a while. Like I'm thinking now, I know blister issues, but like
I'm prepared to wait. But like, come on, let's go. 1 inning in Dunedin, 1 inning in Buffalo. What's next?
Right.
All right. And by the way, can we stop whining about Manoah or any other pitcher that's close to throwing a complete game? Why are you taking him out? Blah, 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 blah. Shut the fuck up with this. Do you not understand? It's not about you. It's not about the pitcher getting a complete game. It's not about that at all. You're going for the playoffs, man. Okay? How many times have you seen a pitcher in the postseason? Oh, I don't know. Clayton Kershaw, let's say. And you're going, is this the same guy that was the Cy Young winner? Is this the same guy that was lights out in September? Yeah, it's him. Is his arm falling off? Yeah, his arm's falling off because you wanted him to have a complete game. He threw 115 pitches back in whenever with a 3-run lead or whatever the case is, right? Because he stared at you when you went to take him out of the game. This is Dave Roberts, and this is manager Dave Roberts. The whole thing. Take him out. Now, taking him out during a perfect game, that's a different argument. Taking him out with a shutout going, oh, maybe that's another one. But to have a complete game and risk him throwing 110, 115 pitches when he doesn't have to, and he doesn't have to.
Okay, I'm with you.
So shut up with this. Shut up with it. Shut up. It's about a personal thing on a team sport. Now, if the rest of the team is like, we would like to see him get, you say, okay. Now, when he comes out and we really need him in late October and his arm is falling off, are you going to go, geez, maybe we shouldn't have done that? Think of the team. Think of your fans. Don't think about one little incident in one of 162 games. Think of the big picture. Please, I beg of you.
Well said, but I don't think many true fans give a rat's ass about complete games. Like I've never really cared. Oh man,
no.
Complete games. No, what, no. And even shutouts, I don't think it really is a big deal anymore in 2022. But I think what people get upset about, and I don't know what your thoughts are, is when the guy's got a no going and they pull him. Like it does bother me when a guy's got a no hitter and he gets pulled because he's on a pitch count. See, that's when I get a little ticked off because it's I want to see the guy get the no hitter. But complete game,
of course you do, because you're selfish. You don't care if the team wins the championship. You want to see the no hitter.
Well, I am. Admittedly, I that's all sports exists, is to please me. So I am super selfish. Like, that's why sports exists. I'm selfish. I want to see a no hitter.
And I want to see I want to see a World Series championship. How about that? So if you and I are together, I say, fuck the no hitter. Fuck it. I want him to be got a no late October.
Okay, let's say 7. He's got a no through 7 innings, and it's time to bring in a reliever. You're fine with that because you know it's going to help us in October,
right? And what I'm saying to you is you're making it seem like a no hitter is like the rarest of things.
It's still exciting to see. Like,
is it? But is it?
We've had 1 in franchise history.
Whip-dee-doo.
1.
You know how many 1-hitters I sat through? You know how many times I saw Dave Steve give up? I'm telling you, Jim Clancy. But the worst one was Jim Clancy.
The Bush.
Randy Bush. Oh my God, the sound! I can still hear the sound of the bat hitting the ball. It sounded like a banjo string broke.
Oh, the bloop single.
Oh my God, broken bat, shattered bat over Garcia's head. He's reaching for it. I can see him. He's going to make the catch, and it's just out of outstretched. It's over his outstretched hand. He actually mistimed his jump. The ball was hit with such. Oh God, I can see.
You know, that was a lot of horrible one hitters in Blue Jays.
Horrible.
I saw Roy Halladay have a no through 8 2/3, and he gave up a home run. But if I make,
I saw that too. I was there that day too.
Yeah, last game of the season, if I remember correctly.
You were saying.
Oh, just saying that when you have one in franchise history and it happened in Cleveland, I think if a Blue Jay pitcher has a no going at home at the Dome, please let him pitch until he gives up a hit. That's Mike talking here, and I'm very selfish. Thank you for your time.
No, Mike, it depends. If it's in April, sure. Who knows, right? If it's in September, I don't know, man. How many innings has he got under his belt? Are they looking at Manoah's innings? He's looking at 200 innings. He's going to have it. I think he's got 4 more starts. Is that significant? When all is said and done at the end of the year, you're going to go, oh, geez, he did have 201 2/3 innings. Maybe we shouldn't have pitched him those last 11 2/3 innings and saved him. I don't know, man. But nowadays, especially with analytics, it's like, that's it. That was pitch number 96.
Right.
His effectiveness is down to, I don't know what to tell you. All I know is this: baseball's going in a different direction. Is it for the better? We'll see. Because the introduction of a pitch clock next year, a ban on the defensive shift next year, and larger bases for next year. They're voting today. Major League Baseball voting today, which ultimately the league has the power to push through the changes it wants, and those are going to be the 3 changes. Under the proposed pitch clock, pitchers are going to have 20 seconds to start their throwing motion. By the way, there's got to be jobs available in MLB to time all these things, to take into account all these new changes. You're going to have to hire more staff, right? More officials, off-ice officials, VAR, everything. So you got 20 seconds if you're the pitcher, right? 20 seconds to start the throwing motion with runners on base. 15 seconds if the bases are empty. So the pitcher's got to be aware, guys on base, I got 20, but I got it going in 15. That's good. Under the proposed shift restrictions, a minimum of 4 players besides the pitcher and catcher would have both feet completely in front of the outer boundary of the infield dirt. You know, the one I mentioned, Mike, the sort of triangle out there, right, where both the infielders cannot be, even with second base. They've got to be on either side of, and there's a restricted area there that they can't be in when the pitch is thrown. Got it? So you can't be sneaking into that area as the pitch. So someone's got to watch that. There's got to be another umpire saying, no, he moved like a foot fault.
Taking notes here.
In tennis. Foot fault. Oh, he moved. I saw the shortstop moved, and he was in the restricted zone when the pitch took place. And if that happens, it's a dead ball, no matter what happens, unless it's a hit. And then the other team could say, screw it. We don't care that he stepped into the restricted zone. Right?
Yeah.
Or it's a ball against the team, the pitching team, a ball, right? That, there's various ways it's going to be like, how does the scoring work on this one? What is it, an automatic ball? So, crazy. Among other points in the league's final proposal prior to the vote, according to people with knowledge of the proposal, so the pitch clock, the timer starts when the pitcher has the ball and the catcher and the batter are in the dirt near home plate and the play is ready, meaning runners have retreated if there was a foul ball or they've exited the field after an out. So none of this lollygagging and jogging after an out. It's like, ground it out, get off the field, right?
Good.
You were thrown out at second base, get off the field. Okay, so the pitch timer starts with the second pitch of the game, not the first. So as soon as the second pitch that's when the timer starts.
Gotcha.
A pitcher who violates the clock is charged with an automatic ball. If a catcher violates the clock, automatic ball. Batters in violation receive an automatic strike. And umpires can also award a ball or a strike if they detect a player circumventing the clocks, and the commissioner's office could issue discipline beyond that to term which players or which staff violated the rules. Are you kidding me? Umpires have the discretion to, no. So I'm the ump. You haven't done anything wrong except get the fuck in the box. Get in the box. That's a strike. And now the guy looks at me and he says, what? And you go, that's another strike. Okay, because now you're causing more time. And I've the clock goes, maybe there's different sounds for the clocks and different, ones. Like strike, ball. Guy was standing in the restricted zone. It's nuts. It's going to be a clusterfuck, man.
Well, Canada Kev's on your YouTube channel right now, and he's wondering, are we going to have video replay of these timings and positions?
Let me get to that.
Okay,
Some because we now have to know which plays are reviewable and which plays aren't reviewable. Right. And if you can tell me now in Major League Baseball which plays are reviewable, like ball or strike is not reviewable, right? Balls and strikes aren't reviewable. You can't say, oh, that pitch was actually a strike, it's a ball. That's not a reviewable play, right? Reviewable plays, as we know, are, close plays at the plate, that type of thing. But in this case here, like what's right? So, like for example, now manager wants to come to the mound. 30 seconds. The clock starts as soon as the manager leaves the dugout. So now you can see John Schneider. He's at the top step. He's about to leave the dugout. He's got his hand on the rail. He takes the step. He doesn't take the step. The clock starts. The clock stops. He hasn't taken a step out yet. Now the pitch clock is running. It's down to 8. And if it gets to 8, inside of 8 seconds, you can't do anything now. Now you're screwed, right? Now you're into the last 8 seconds. That's another thing. Anyway, so if a manager joins the mound visit like in progress, like there's a mound, like the infielders are already coming to talk to the pitcher, and then the manager joins, he gets 20 seconds. And once again, the umpire has discretion to grant additional time if a manager or coach is dealing with a physical ailment. So now, like for example, let's say Lourdes Gurriel Jr. goes down in a heap, hit by a pitch. He gets an extra few seconds if the umpire says so. But if the umpire says, you're fucking around, you're pretending to be Maradona. No, you're not hurt. Get up. And he takes 5 seconds away. Or he says, keep the clock going. Like, that's nuts, man. That's crazy. A bona fide medical issue. How do you know if it's what are you, a doctor? You're an umpire. You're looking at him, he looks hurt to me. Guy's in agony, writhing in agony, holding his ankle. And you're going to say, looks to me like a bona fide medical issue. And what about when the trainer comes out? Then what happens? Okay. More time added. It's like added time, like in soccer. It's at the referee's discretion. How much added time is there going to be? How many seconds?
Right.
Nuts. Now there's the shift, Mike. So here's the shift deal. Now, I explained this to you before. They're doing this in minor league baseball. They tried it out. And now Major League Baseball is saying, we're going to ban the shift. So when the pitcher releases the ball, a minimum of 4 players, besides the pitcher and catcher, must have both feet completely in front of the outer boundary of the dirt. All right. So you know where the dirt cutout is.
Sure.
And 2 fielders, have to be entirely on either side of second base. Okay. So if you draw a line right through behind second base, straight back, there's a restricted area that's going to be that like sort of a inverted triangle there, right? That comes out from from second base. And that's a restricted area. So when the pitch is thrown, you've got to make sure that there's 2 players on either side. So one of the shortstop or second baseman can't be creeping into that area. Right. All right.
Right.
Umpires, again, have discretion to penalize the fielding team with a ball if the umpire detects players are attempting to circumvent the rules. So here's my thing, Mike, which umpire is watching what? Okay. We know that the home plate umpire is responsible for balls and strikes and any foul ball that is between him, home plate, and the bags. We know the responsibilities of the first base umpire, but is he now going to watch to make sure the second baseman doesn't creep into the restricted zone? And the third base, are we adding more umpires now too? Got to have the left field and right field umpires. Are they the ones that are going to watch to see if these rules are being circumvented on the field, or are they going to be eyes in the sky? And by the way, what about a challenge? Yes, the answer is teams can challenge whether a team complied with the shift. So the ump says, up, you were in the restricted zone, and the manager goes, nope, we're going to challenge that.
Yeah, that's like when you see the goal and they challenge, was that guy offside 12 minutes ago or whatever.
My God. And finally, the bases will now be 18 inches square rather than the present 15 inches. So you can hang onto that base. It's easier to, I guess, hang a nice big base to slide for. Nice big base. What do you think?
Okay, here's my quick thoughts, and then we want to hear what you think. But my quick thoughts are...
I think I told you what I think. It's fucking ridiculous. It's too much at once. How are we can even... Like, it just becomes too complex. But I guess...
I hear you. But
I guess you got to start somewhere, right? We'll see, we'll see when it's implemented what it's like.
Right, and it sounds like they've tested this out in the minors, and it was a success enough that they're going to bring it to the majors. But I guess I never liked the shift. I hate the shift. These balls are hit and they're, this was a clear single when I was 12 years old. Now it's
Mike,
easy out.
it's not unlike if you said, look, just put two defensemen and the goalie standing in front of the net.
Right.
Let's just do that. We're going to change. Well, no, you can't. Well, who says we can't? Well, you got to have one player there, one player there, one player outside the circle, one player inside the circle, like in hockey with a face-off. It's the same thing.
Okay, but this is the key, okay? And this is, I can't get my 20-year-old to go to a Blue Jay game with me. These games are too long.
Agreed.
When we go to TFC, we know, okay, 90 minutes of play.
No, I know. You're right.
It's so different. I can't, this game might be 3 hours. These kids, they don't want to go to a 3-hour baseball game. Like, we have to speed things up. 2.5 hours, I think, is a sweet spot if we could ever get it to that. So whatever it takes.
No, fuck it. It's not going to happen. Forget it. Those days are gone,
you gotta try.
Mike, you're trying to restrict the amount of time that goes on while the game is going on. You got your 2 minutes between innings. That's where you sell your commercials, right? When the play is dead, when there's actually no activity going on, okay, it's like 90% of the time. Think about it. Until the pitcher throws the ball, there's this dead time.
Yeah.
Dead time. The base runners are here. We all know about this. It's a different game. You can't put a clock on it. That's all I'm going to say. That's all I'm going to say.
Well,
so am I going to fight these rules? Am I going to fight these rules or am I going to embrace these rules? I have to embrace them. I have to. I love baseball.
You love baseball, but remember, your parents went to all 3 New York, stadiums on their honeymoon. Like, this is in your blood. If you're coming to this game, like if I'm getting Monica into Blue Jay baseball, which she is a bandwagon jumper and she's about to jump on, it's a very exciting time in this household. But it really is tough with these 3-hour games. I just wish
Mike, I'm sorry. Don't tell me that because look, if I said to you, it's a great movie, it's 3 hours, you're going to go, nah. And I said, it's a great movie, it's 2.5 hours. You go, okay, come on, man. Come on, it's live. You don't know what's going to happen. You think during an 18-minute inning, you're going, oh, Jesus, the inning is taking 18 minutes. It's exciting as hell. So come on, man. Like baby steps. Let's try. They're trying. They're trying to.
Yeah, they're trying. So let's see how it goes.
And I agree with you that there's times where it's like, come on, throw the pitch already. But there's also times in tennis where I'm saying to Rafael Nadal, come on, serve it already. Anyway, speaking of tennis, how's this?
Yeah.
Men's semifinals set for the U.S. Open this afternoon. Number 27, Karen Khachanov against number 5, Casper Ruud. And the winner of that match gets the winner of the big one. That's tonight when American Francis Tiafoe, what a great story, seeded 22nd, gets number 3 seed, young Carlos Alcaraz, who went 5 hours and 15 minutes on Tuesday night into Wednesday morning before dispatching Jakob Sinner in the quarters. The match ended at 2:50 a.m. How do I know this? I was awake.
Wow.
Match point. Yeah. After, I don't know, I got a couple of 15-minute naps in, I think, along the way, in set 2, set 3, set 4, set 5. In the last 3 matches, Alcaraz has spent over 15 hours on court. 15 hours, for crying out loud. Folks, they got to get rid of the second night match at these events. The first night match starts at 7 p.m. That's fine. But in men's play, unless you're going to get rid of the best 3 out of 5 for the men, it's going to take at least 3 hours to play. All right. And if it's the men, so guess what that is? It starts at 7, it ends at 10. The other guys come on at 10:30, 3 more hours. That's 1:30 a.m. minimum.
Wow.
This went to 2:50 a.m. So stop it already with this. Find a way to either have both matches played concurrently and go back and forth between Louis Armstrong Stadium and Arthur Ashe Stadium. You could do that. Now let's check this out. Or if you wanted to watch one match exclusively, have it streamed or have it in one of your other channels. Come on, you can do that. You can do it. It just goes on way too late. It's not good for the players, not good for the spectators, not good for the TV viewers. That's all I'm going to say about that. The women's final tomorrow. Number 1 seed, Iga Swiatek of Poland against the number 5 seed, Ons Jabeur of Tunisia. Poland versus Tunisia. Interesting.
Yeah.
Swiatek lost the opening set to Sabalenka yesterday and then blitzed her the next 2 and won it. And Jabeur blitzed Caroline Garcia of France in straight sets. There's been some really terrific tennis out there. A lot of people have not seen it because of the time. But boy, this might be the best year I can imagine with all the top seeds out and Djokovic not playing and Federer's not here and Nadal is out. And, I guess a lot of the top women are up, but mostly on the men's side. We're seeing some really terrific tennis. It's great. You should check it out. And while you're at it, watch the McEnroe documentary.
McEnroe doc. Okay.
Yeah, it's on Crave. Really good.
He's great.
Such an asshole. He's such an asshole. And everyone in the doc says, such an asshole. And he's such an asshole. And he knows He's such an asshole, but it's in his DNA. His old man was an asshole, right? He couldn't help but be an ass. His brother doesn't seem to be an ass. But anyway, yeah.
So Hebsy, I will say, I'm not as big a tennis fan as you, obviously, or Raptors devotee on your YouTube channel, everything, watching these things at 2:50 a.m. But all these names that are left on the men's side, I don't believe I've ever seen these names before. It's funny.
Well, you're not as big into tennis, but these.
So Khachanov is in Ruud.
Khachanov, yeah, Casper Ruud. Oh yeah, Norwegian, man. Yeah.
Tiafoe and Alcaraz. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, Alcaraz is an amazing young player. Yeah. The next Nadal, I guess they're saying.
Okay, I've got some.
And Tiafoe is a great story.
Did you watch?
He's good friends. Tiafoe is good friends with Felix Auger-Aliassime. Like these guys on the men's side, they're all buddies. On the women's side, it's becoming more that way, but it wasn't like when the guys play. If they play a 5-setter, like one will say to the other one, "Let's go for a beer afterwards." Like McEnroe talks about that in the documentary where he says, he loses to Vitas Gerulaitis, and afterwards Gerulaitis says, "What are you doing tonight?" McEnroe's like 19 years old. You can come with me. We'll go to Studio 54, right? And that's something that I've talked to a lot of tennis players, and the women's tennis is a much lonelier existence. Rebecca Marino quit the tour. She had no idea how lonely it could be, and just how it's just you, right?
So before we move on from tennis, though, did you watch the final match of Serena Williams?
Yeah, it was great. It was a huge blockbuster for television ratings, and it's good to see. It's good. I like the drama. I loved the drama of live sports, and you can't beat it.
Okay, one last question, though, because I've been wanting to ask you this all week. But Arash Madani put out a tweet to remind people about Steffi Graf's career, which was not as many majors, but many less years played. I think she retires at 31 or something, and she wins some ridiculous percentage of matches that she tournaments that she entered.
Phenomenal player.
So then, I think even Arash's tweet was sort of just, don't forget Steffi. People really, on Twitter anyways, really turned on Arash for this. And what are your thoughts? Like, we can have this conversation. Like, maybe Serena
did nothing wrong. It's all about context, okay? For anyone to think that Arash would make any type of statement, that could be considered racist is absurd. It's absurd. All he's trying to say is, as great as Serena was, and she was great, Steffi Graf had a really good career too. Now, you can say, take nothing away from Serena. You could say, here's a comparison, but most people are saying, oh, he doesn't like Serena, eh? Oh, he's poo-pooing her career, huh? He's saying she's not the greatest, huh? Right. Well, fuck you. Well, you know what? It's Twitter, so screw it. That's my answer to that. Okay.
Yeah, but people's I know it's Twitter.
I don't care about people's reaction. I'm telling you, it's all about context. And they're looking for a fight. They're looking for a fight.
I agree with you. I think it's
let's forget about
to have
Twitter.
The conversation that there's no right answer, but Steffi versus Serena.
Yeah. People can get very upset by a tweet and say that they're never gonna whatever, and you're a jerk and all that kind of a thing, and you're a racist, and it's very easy. The easiest thing in the world is to say to someone that they're a racist.
He did delete that tweet though at some point.
Well, sure, but he just didn't want to have the hassle anymore. I mean, if he probably came down to it and said, maybe I shouldn't have said something, but I know what he was trying to do.
Yeah.
I would say Serena was a great player. I mean, my favorite was Steffi, but you can't do that in the midst of all this loving for Serena. You just can't do it. Let's get into sports radio now, Mike. It's been faltering in recent years, but recently 2 all sports stations celebrated anniversaries. The Fan 590 celebrated, I don't know if that's the right word, acknowledged that for 30 years they've been doing all sports.
Right.
And TSN 690, they celebrated 20 years as an all-sports station in Montreal. Huge party last night in Montreal, led by veteran Mitch Melnick in the afternoon, and many and virtually all former employees on air and off, and current employees of TSN 690 in Montreal. Not in Toronto, though. You notice I didn't see a bunch of big get-together of former fan personalities, of which there are many, many. And even the people working there, with the exception, I think, of Roger Lajoie, who's been there the longest.
Sure.
As a part-timer, right? But the longest. I mean, other than that, who's been there for a long time? Jeff Blair's been there for a while, but nobody's been there. Nobody's been there 20 years at the Fan, right?
Stephen Brunt, maybe. I got to do.
No, I'm talking about on a full-time. I'm talking about the personalities there. You know what I mean?
You're right.
It's not like everybody at the Fan's going, hey, let's all get together and celebrate. You've been here for 30 years. No, there isn't anybody. There's some people behind the scenes, I guess, but not like but the one in Montreal, even though it's only 20 years, looks like lots of people, man. And TSN radio, they were cutting stations left, right, and center. The fan's been around all 30 years, but just sort of not the same. Anyway, these stations are spending less money. We know that, rather than more, trying to draw listeners, keep listeners, anything. And there's competition. The fan was it for years, and now TSN, 1050's got the best show in the city, Overdrive, and the number one personality, Jeff O'Neill.
Right.
Now, before the fan became the fan, it was pretty much already a sports radio station, having been so since the 50s as CKFH, Foster Hewitt station that carried all the Leafs and then later the Blue Jay games. Now, you had Scott Metcalf on the other day, and that was a really good show, and he's a great historian too. He was there. And Scott arrived there in 1981 when Telemedia took over or bought from Foster Hewitt the 1430 signal, changed it from CKFH to CJCL. My time at that frequency preceded that. I had come back for a second stint when it was CJCL. I was working in Montreal at the time. But before that, one of my first jobs was, as you know, I was Bob McCowan's producer on his talk show, and then eventually became a sportscaster at CKFH. And my drunk of a boss fired me in 1979. I sued for wrongful dismissal and lost the case. And then I went to Montreal, got a gig in Montreal, and that went pretty good. And then they called me and said, "Hey, we're buying the station from Foster Hewitt." Buddy Jim Fonger, who was the original first engineer on Blue Jay radio broadcast, called me up and said, "Hey, do you want to come from Montreal? Do you want to come and be Bob McCowan's radio producer on this new, CJCL? The new ownership's taken over, and Bob's got his talk show. And do you want to be his producer?" And I went, "No. Thanks anyway, but I'm already an announcer. I'm doing a great gig here. I'm on the air every day. Love it. I don't want to be a producer. I'd like to host my own show." And he went, "Oh, okay." And then he got back to me a while later and said, "Okay, the show's yours." They fired McCowan. I'm like, holy shit. So now I go back. Right. And yes. I'm there 9 months. I'm doing the talk show, but it's also 1981 and baseball goes on strike for 50 days. And, there's no games. Guess who's filling in 5 hours a night? Because there's no baseball.
Right.
That's me. And things aren't going good and people aren't listening to the radio. They're certainly lost listening to our station because there's no baseball to talk about.
And it's a bad signal anyways.
Bad signal. Yeah. Anyway, so 9 months goes by and I get fired again. Bad ratings, they say. And a week after getting fired, and I was fired by J. Michael Phillips and Larry Silver, while the president of, I believe, the general manager of the station, Leslie Soul, God rest his soul, was away. And when Leslie Soul got back from holidays and found out that these guys had fired me, he immediately took me out to lunch and tried to rehire me.
Wow.
But by then, I had gotten a call from CKEY 590, which was getting the rights to NFL football on radio, the Monday night games and all that. And they wanted to have a talk show, an evening talk show. And they had called me and offered me a job. So when Leslie Soul, the late Leslie Soul, took me out for lunch and bought me a nice steak lunch and everything like that, and said, "Hey, we want you back," I said to him, "I can't do it. I made an agreement to go to CKEY." And then when I took the show at CKEY, I kicked the shit out of the ratings there. We did very well, and we beat up CKFH, CJCL. They had Earl McRae on, and our numbers were 10 times what his were at the time. But you're right, the signal was terrible in Toronto, and the CKFH brand was getting old and tired. And it was a decent rock and roll station in the 60s and early 70s, and they changed it to CJCL, the CL, for Canadian Living Magazine, which was the new owner, Telemedia, Philippe de Gaspé-Beaubien. He had publishing, he had TV Guide, he had Canadian Living Magazine, he had all these radio stations in Quebec, powerhouse radio stations, talk stations, and it took over there. That's what happened. I probably would have been invited to take on some show at the Fan at some point, but by then I was at Global and doing really well.
Yeah.
And then even after that, they called Taddy and said, "Do you want to hook up with Mary Ormsby and do a show?" And I think he worked with Steve Simmons also, I think. And he was doing I think a 10 a.m. to noon show while he was doing Sportsline at the same time, which I wasn't crazy about it. And I was probably a bit jealous. I'm like, fuck, I should be doing I should be doing the radio talk show, not him. Like, if it's like that. But again, they wanted to, I don't know what the deal was. I don't know if he approached them or they approached him, but I do know that McCowan did not want me working back in the same building as him, because I had taken over for him on radio, and then I took over for him on Sportsline on TV.
Right.
And so he didn't want me back in there. And I get it.
Fascinating. So what, just for the record, it went all sports 30 years ago, but you said it was essentially a sports station before that. But
it was. It had the Jays and it had the Leafs.
Sure. But it was like, they still played, I remember at the end it was music of your life or whatever, but they played music from like, I don't know what it was, like from 8 to 8 or whatever the timing was. But like, so like half the day was like music radio and half the day.
But during the day, the newscasts and the sportscasts were, they were sports heavy. When I started there, I was a kid, I was 21 years old. I was doing the 4 p.m. sports. Like the news would come on. I think it was Murray Eldon. It was Murray Eldon.
Love it.
The news. And then, at 4 o'clock, it's 4 o'clock. I'm Murray Eldon or Bren Traff. These guys were veteran news guys with voices, whiskey and cigarettes voices, heavy smokers, right? And news and now with sports, Mark Hebsy, hi everybody, with my, young sportscaster voice. And man, everything, man, here's tonight's schedule. Here's the Jays. You didn't get the lineups in those days or anything like that, right? Here's the pitching matchup and maybe a clip from last night's game, and then last night the Jays won it on, home run by Ron Fairley, and here's the call. And you'd run Tom Cheek's clip from the night before, or you'd run Tom Cheek's report. He would always do a report. The Blue Jays take on the Texas Rangers tonight. Ferguson Jenkins, swinging 25-9, pitching for the Rangers against Dave Stieb. Last night, and then they'd run a little clip of, Lloyd Mosby's home run, whatever it was. Yeah. But you always, that's where you would go for your Blue Jays and your Leafs news, because as reporters, that's what we were covering. CFRB had a great sports department. The late Fred Locking, who passed away this week, Dave Hodge, Bill Stevenson, Sunil Joshi, Brian Williams, fucking powerhouse, man. CKUI had Jim Hunt, Brad Diamond, excellent. Brian Henderson on Chum, Rick Hodge on Chum FM, Jim McKenney on City, Debbie Van Kiekebelt, Russ Salzberg. Oh man, you had really good sports coverage, and never mind. And then the daily papers, man, the Globe, the Sun, the Star.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Good reporting, solid local sports reporting and beyond.
Wow. Good. I'm glad you shouted out Fred Locking, because did you know he actually passed away August 23rd?
Yes, I do. Yes.
Yeah, we only found out about it this week. But
a few weeks, in Kingston, Kingston. But he was living, I believe he was living in Belleville down east. Nice guy, gentle guy, big, tall guy. Like Freddie was, like, oh, there's Fred. There was no you couldn't find Fred. Had good hair too. Had good hair, and also just a voice that, you would turn around and go, wow, that's Fred Locking.
Right.
Because he would come through on 1010, the signal was just so great. We were so envious at 1430. You never got a signal like it was clear and just resonant. And the mics they had way better mics, way better equipment than we had, right? Way better. Their transmitter was way better. Everything about it. The sound was just, you would hear Jack Dennett, or, my God, the voice of God, and, Fred Locking, CFRB Sports, and just, he was dynamite. Really great.
You mentioned, I know, the voices, right? Like when I think about, yourself, you talked about, your young voice, and it wasn't quite like those, those booming voices we remember. But like, then you think about like a Jerry Howarth or a Joe Bowen, right? Two voices we'd hear on that frequency,
Yeah.
They also think about Jerry and Jerry's voice. Like it's almost like it was okay to not sound like the Fred, those Fred Locking traditional big voices.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That was an announcer, but those types of voices did not do commentary. You see, that's different.
Oh.
Like commentary was my Paul Harvey, good day, right? And I'm telling you a story, and the moral of the story,
Right.
The newscaster, the straight reader was, here's the news.
Right.
Dateline, San Francisco. Here's Fred Locking with sports. Good evening. The Argonauts take on the Montreal Alouettes tonight at CNE Stadium. Kickoff time is 7:10. Argo quarterback Wally Gabler. That was, there wasn't any could be commentary in there, but not with that tone.
Right.
That wasn't comment. That was straight read. That's announcer. That's presentation. Anyway, Before we go, how do I say this? Let's see here. There's a story that kind of came out, it kind of fell in my lap that I'm very concerned about that I don't have all the details of. But this I do know. There was an incident at Global Television that I believe canceled the 11 p.m. news on Tuesday night. Someone in the newsroom, someone working, I don't know, a producer, somebody, brandished a knife, may have threatened others, had, I guess, a mental breakdown, stabbed himself multiple times. There was blood. Apparently, the building was evacuated. Apparently, the news was canceled. I can't get confirmation on this. And here's why, because people that I know at Global who were there, either who were there or who have firsthand knowledge, have been given a gag order. They are not allowed to speak to anybody about this incident. I'm unaware if any criminal charges were laid. I don't know if, again, because someone would have to, lay those charges. Someone would have to say to the police, yes, this happened, and I would like to lay charges, for example. So I don't know. And if there were no criminal charges laid, then this goes down as a, I guess an incident that's, you want to, was it attempted suicide? I don't know.
It's definitely.
But it's very fascinating that it just, I'm not saying that this would have been a big news story. I don't know. Okay. Especially with the Queen passing away, let's be honest, but it's very concerning because I have friends. I have people that I know and have known for many years. I worked in that newsroom or around, for, over a decade, even though that was a while ago. So there's still quite a few people that are obviously shaken by this, and they continue to broadcast, live programming out of that newsroom where that incident took place. No one has returned my calls, but essentially the calls that I left, the messages I left with people were, if you don't call me back, I understand that you're under a gag order and you can't say anything. Right. And obviously, if nothing had happened, they would have called back saying, I don't know what you're talking about, Mark. So no one has called back. I've gotten no response from people at Chorus Entertainment that I've contacted, just, as a podcaster, but as someone also who's, is very interested in this as a, just as a human being, right? What happened, right? What happened? And are people working there? Are they getting help? What's going on? What kind of a workplace is this? That's what I got. That's all I got.
Do you know who's the anchor of that newscast? Do you know?
No.
Okay, because I coincidentally, in my calendar of Toronto Mike guests, Farah Nasser is actually visiting me next week. She might be the anchor on it.
She may be able to shed some light, or she may be like everyone else under the gag order there. That I think essentially what's happening is you have to go through corporate. You got to go through Chorus. PR. Yeah, you got to go through corporate here. You got to go through PR. You're not, nobody there will give you any information, right?
Wow. Okay, Hebsy. Wow.
And I got pictures too.
Wow. That's wild. Yeah, wow.
Yeah, wild. Wow. What the hell happened? So when it happened, I'm calling around to people like, did you hear about this? And they go, and these are big people in the industry at other places, not at Global. Nope, didn't hear about it. Nope, didn't hear about it. Nope, nobody heard about it. And now I'm calling people at Global, and they're not calling back. And I'm emailing people, and I'm not hearing back. But again, on the emails too, saying, look, if I don't hear back from you, I can assume that you're under a gag order about this and that something did happen. And I didn't hear back from anybody, man. And let me tell you, lots of people. So that's that developing story. I assume something will come. I don't know for a fact if anything will come out in the mainstream media, but that's what I got. That's all I got. That's the update. Okay. All right. Okay. That's it. How's that?
I'm processing that one, Hebsy.
Okay. All right. Wow. I'm just telling you what I know. I'm only telling you what I know.
That's all you can do.
That's all I can do. That's it for episode number 300 of Hebsy on Sports. Thanks to Toronto Mike for production and inspiration. Hit him up at Toronto Mike. Thanks as well to our terrific sponsor, Crosswinds Golf and Country Club in Burlington. Go to crosswindsgolf.com. Book your tee time online today and save $40 per foursome. And thanks to you for allowing us into your headspace. Please like us or write a nice review wherever you write your reviews. I don't know how the kids do it. Do whatever it takes to help make this show better. and to let folks know about it. Lie through your teeth if you have to, and tell folks that you love the show. Thanks. Appreciate it. Back with another episode next week. Until then, so long for now.